It never gets old. Bitch, the mic isn't even up, but yeah. That song never gets old because honestly, that's one of my favorite Biggie songs. So if you didn't hear it, it's One More Chance by Biggie. That beat is so classic. I mean, you could also say it's the Foolish Ashanti one, but nah. It's Biggie.
Either way, that's still a classic. It's a classic from a different time.
Is. But like this song, when it comes on, whew, it's a different Natalie. Anyway. Welcome back to another episode of The Least Favorite. I'm your girl, Natalie.
Co-host Toni, what's up?
And today we are joined by, okay, how would you like me to introduce you? Because you have Get Real with Dakota, but I know your real name. I don't know if you want me to say it, though.
Not my government name.
Okay, so then, yeah. You know what? Introduce yourself.
Yeah, there you go. Go ahead.
There you go.
No pressure.
I'm Dakota. I'm a tough love relationship coach and sexuality educator, and now I'm a part-time massage candle maker.
Yay.
Let's talk about those massage candles.
Yes, let's have a moment real quick. First, let's talk about, we just had our first pop-up shop event.
Oh my God.
When was it? I don't even remember the date.
21st.
Honestly, it was May 21st.
Sunday.
And Dakota was actually one of the vendors at the pop-up shop selling her massage candles. Which when I read that you were selling massage candles, at first I thought you misspelled it and was like, it was message candles. So I'm like, maybe they're candles with cute little messages on it.
With like intentions.
Because I couldn't think of like, how could you use candles to massage people? Because I'm like, isn't it hot wax? Like you would burn yourself.
No. Yeah, I agree.
So I was like, what the hell? And then when I went to you and you were like, oh yeah, I can have you touch it and we can try it. I'm like, oh my God, this shit about to burn me. But no, it was actually smelled really good. Amazing. It feels really good. And you want to talk a little bit about that whole experience? Like, did you enjoy yourself at the pop-up? Yes. How did you feel being there? You've done other pop-ups before.
Yeah, so I recently quit my job this past May. So I was teaching sex ed for middle school and I said, that's done. And with me quitting my job, I was like, I need to make money.
Yeah.
And I started making massage candles as a way for people to like access self-care and also to make kink accessible. Like when you hear things like kink and BDSM, it sounds really scary and it can sound like you're chewing too much at once. Mm-hmm. So I was like, what's a way to like ease people? You don't have to be a kinky person to play with heat or have a massage candle. But I've been selling them at a bunch of like different vending events, mostly like queer-centered, women-centered events. Mm-hmm. So that was my first event that was blended in terms of like who it served. And if you didn't tell me that this was your first one, I would have had no idea.
Oh my God, I love that.
Honestly.
Bitches.
That's right, though.
Have your moment. Have your moment.
That means so much to us because we were stressed.
Bro.
I wouldn't have known.
Girl.
I would have had, like, I had no idea. You were checking in. Like, so I was telling him, like, there were things that I didn't even know I wanted or that are nice that y'all did. That like
really
just kind of put the bow on top. Like you would check in with people, you'd make your rounds. Yeah. Like I don't really remember having vending opportunities recently where like the people who are running it take the time to check in.
Yeah, it's kind of like you pay your money, you show up, and then they're like nowhere to be found.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know who they are. Yeah,
no, everywhere.
Yeah.
With a smile on your face.
With a smile. Oh my God, that means so much. We did have a good time though. And and just seeing everybody else have such a good time, it was like, okay, we did this. Yeah. Like it's good.
We felt successful seeing all of y'all be successful, honestly. Like all the traffic, all the foot traffic.
Because honestly, with it being our first time, we didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how much foot traffic that area actually got. Mm-hmm. And then I remember booking the place, meeting with the guy, looking at the venue. And then I remember going home and sitting home like, oh shit, I have no one to fill this venue up. I'm literally hitting her up like, girl, who the fuck we about to get to sell? We had like maybe like 5 potential vendors.
We was hitting up everybody.
I was up till like 1, 2 in the morning on Instagram. Like, hey, you want to be a vendor at this pop-up? I want to park, whatever. Like going in.
You had good attendance though.
Yeah.
That place was full.
Packed, too full.
And like once it started, as people were walking by, you had consistent, like there was a flow. Like there wasn't really a moment when I felt like there was a huge lull. Like even if people didn't buy something from me, there was always someone to talk to. There was always someone to connect with. Like it was just really well put together. Everyone was also very kind. Like sometimes you see vendors that are competitive.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like side-eyeing.
We got and I'm like, we have different products. Let me tell you, these vendors, shout out to y'all.
No, for real.
Everybody blended so well. Even like in our little vendor chat, like everybody's so supportive.
It was so positive in there. Yes. Like, oh my God, too positive.
Like there's like a little, like a sense of community, which I love.
But it's like, that's the purpose purpose of it? And like I was telling them yesterday, I gave them like a little pep talk because I'm like, yes, we're a podcast, but we should be doing more. Like we can't just be just us doing this every single, like we're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to meet as many people. We're not going to network as much. And it's like, why can't we uplift other people? Like, I hate that whole, like, we always say like gatekeeping, like everything to yourself. No, I'm not going to tell you my resources or share my resources or tell you about this or put you onto this. But it's like, why not? Because in that scarcity mindset, nothing comes from that. So it's like, why are we living that way? Yep. We should be uplifting on what is with the competition. Also, there's a million people who sell clothes, who sell candles, who sell jewelry, but we can all come together and do it together.
So big. Like there's literally enough to go around for everybody and then some.
Absolutely.
And we have that like fear, that scarcity mindset. But I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't have time to be scared. Like I have bills to pay. I'll cry, I'll have my moment. And then I'm like, okay, bitch, let's go. We got to get to work.
And one thing I would say about you, from the minute you got there, you were up. Dakota was up. Like she was ready to sell, to talk to people. She was standing, she was vibrant.
Making eye contact.
Yes, smiling. I was like, oh nah, she's about her business.
I was like, okay.
Nah, you were definitely about your business.
We were scoping everybody out. Best believe. We was like, oh.
Absolutely.
So it makes sense what y'all were saying about the scarcity mindset. Remember, after that podcast, after the pop-up event, I went to a completely separate venue just to go have a drink, and they were having a whole fucking pop-up event.
And it was huge, and it looked amazing.
There. I was just packed on a complete opposite side of town. And it's like, yo, there's room for everyone to thrive and eat and have a good time.
Everyone eats.
Everyone eats. And that's the beauty of it.
The point about the great vibe, yo, I thought there was one little small incident where the vibe was going to get killed a little bit, and then that got handled right away, and it was just positivity the rest of the time. There was not one incident. Which is crazy.
But that's the beauty in the Bronx. Hunts Point. Okay.
Hunts Point. All right.
Hunts Point is, that area is a little rough around the edges.
But
Did you know about that area prior to us?
No.
Okay, good.
I'm more familiar with I was saying, like Washington Heights, like Manhattan, just because like that's where my mom grew up. That's where my parents met. That's where my parents worked.
Yeah.
Like my mom was still working there as I was growing up. So like that's my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But there's so many parts of the city to explore. Like even coming here, I was like, it's so cute. It's walkable. It's kind of cozy.
And it's actually an Irish neighborhood too. Because you said that you were part Irish.
I saw a lot of pubs. Yeah. My Irish people know how to get down.
What did I want to say about that? There was something else, but I forgot. But anyway, to start the episode, we always start with the topic from the bowl. And since you're our guest, you get to pick the topic. Voila. It's like a random little...
Is this like a pistol and mortar container? Like the chichiching?
We actually don't like to do something like, well, for me, it's a mahal plátano or something.
Yeah,
but
actually, Ann still don't know where he got this container.
This was just on his table one day.
Tanny's.
Oh yes, it's Tanny. Shout out to Tanny.
We have your bowl.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I read this? Do you read this?
You can read it.
What's the worst intimate experience you ever had?
This is perfect.
Wow.
Every experience I've ever had with a man.
Oh shit! Let's
No, I'm not kidding. Actually, no, I'm not kidding.
Let's talk about it. Well, just before you even go there, hold on. Just let people know why you say that. Like, how do you identify? Like, let's get into it. Let's talk about it.
No. I'm not like a man hater. Like, I think men need a lot of love. There's a lot that they've been grown and brought into that's not necessarily their fault. And although people are responsible for themselves, I don't think we set them up for success. Same way we don't set up women for success. But to this point, I was like pretending to be straight for most of my life. Like I knew from a very young age that I like girls, and I kept trying to come out of the closet. And then someone would say something and I'd like go back in the closet, and I just kept trying to come out. And like the surefire way to know, like I would go out of my way to tell people that I was straight. Like I'd go out of my way to be like, no, like I'd like kiss a girl, but I'd never date one. Like straight people don't need to say that they're straight because they just are.
Right, exactly.
So I had dated men for most of my life, and something was just, like, it always just felt like it was missing. Like something was just always off. And then I had ended my last relationship, and my therapist was like, you need to go like be gay. So I went to a lesbian sex club in Brooklyn.
Well, that's one way to do it.
I have so many questions now. Right. Fuck the outline. Let's get into it. No, but continue.
Yeah, no. So I had gone, and I was scared. Like I called out of work that day. I was like, oh my God, like I'm gonna kiss a girl. Like I've never eat pussy before. Like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I like. How am I gonna like do that to somebody else? But my friend invited me, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, let's go. What's the worst thing that's gonna happen? Like I was going my boundaries. I was like living my best whole life. Was not looking for a relationship. That didn't go as planned. I went, I met my spouse there for the first time.
Aww.
We had sex in front of everybody.
Wow.
We had an audience.
Wow, that's a love
And it was
story.
great. And then we've been together ever since.
What a
Okay.
story.
Let's just rewind because there's a lot there.
Is there a rewind?
Go ahead.
Because, all right, so was it the man? What was lacking with the man? Was it just like physical attraction from that man, from men? Was it the emotional attraction from that? What was missing that a man couldn't give you?
Physical and emotional. Like, I realized that I was attracted to masculinity, and that felt familiar for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized early on that I was attracted to masculine women because masculinity was familiar, but I was only associating masculinity with men.
Mm.
So, and also like with men, like, is dick or not? Like, with women, you have options.
Mm-hmm.
You could either scissor, you could eat each other out, you can play with toys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's more versatility, but also with my trauma from like sexual things, penises were just so aggressive for me to have one all the time.
Right.
So there were a lot of layers to it, but it was the physicality of just something always just feeling not right. Like, I didn't have my first orgasm until the age of 24. Well,
Wow.
the first orgasm by somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I could make myself come, but like other people
Mm-hmm.
was not happening
Mm-hmm.
until I came out of the closet and I was like, oh, the gates
Yeah.
of heaven, I'm open, I'm now king.
Yeah.
And even after that though, I still identified as bisexual. I still identified as somebody that was attracted to men because I just didn't know. And then as like being in this relationship, I just came to understand how I related to men
Mm-hmm.
and in healing my relationships with men,
Mm-hmm.
not walking around like men are trash, men are this, fuck that. Like, I had to put my anger aside. And then I realized like there's just something that's not there, right? Like when you're just attracted to somebody, there's just something there that's palpable, that's chemistry that you almost can't describe. And it's just a feeling.
Right.
And I never felt that feeling with a man that I did with
Mm-hmm.
people of the same sex. And not just women, non-binary people, trans people. Like, I identify as queer because I'm like for everybody.
Yeah.
But that's more so where I came, the happy, healthy, how. That's where I came from.
Oh my God, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
That was
but
super
do you feel like that's what kind of made you want to get into sexual education then?
Like from a young kid, I was always like super freaky, like just like into relationships. My parents divorced at a young age. So I was always obsessed with love and like what makes relationships work and what fucks them up. And I was boy crazy. I was crush crazy. Like I was just off the chain. And also with like media, like being exposed to porn at a very young age. Maybe the first time I saw porn, I was in like the 3rd grade, like formally. And I was like, oh, this shit is like kind of cool. So I always knew I wanted to do therapy or something in relationships, but it wasn't until college where I had an internship as a sex educator in Newark, traveling around the city of Newark with a bag of dildos, teaching people about X, Y, and Z. I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like, because I want to help people not make the same mistakes I made, you know?
Yeah,
I'm like, there's a lot of shit that I just did not have to do if I had somebody to just tell me like, hey, you can say no. You don't have to be treated this way. Or you have so much to offer. Like, I think about what my decisions would have looked like if I had a guide to instill that in me.
Right.
But I'm not mad at myself for the things that I did. Like, I came to peace with it. I'm not going to be mad at myself because I slept with so many men and I'm not a gold star lesbian, you know? Like, it brought me where I am today.
I mean, is there ever really a gold? Is there a gold star
There
lesbian? What would make the lesbian have a gold star?
Right, that they just never been with a man.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
So there's still a lot of stigma within the queer community when it comes to
rewinding
that.
a little bit, how old were you when you actually felt those things? Like you are attracted? Because you said you were young, but like how young?
Around 7, maybe younger than 7. Like, I had told my mom I had a crush on a girl and she was like, okay, wait. But I'm like, you don't ask me that if I tell you I have a crush on a boy.
Yeah.
And then I just have feelings. And my mom was very open growing up. Like, she brought me everywhere. You know, like I was always hanging around adults. She brought me to Pride at a young age. And I saw dykes on bikes, which is like a thing. They're like dykes that ride motorcycles with their titties out in leather. I was like, oh shit. Oh my God, this is my dream.
Oh my God.
Like, this is something I was into at 7. But I just kept like repressing it.
Yeah.
Because the outside world wasn't.
So it wasn't even like your mom like making you feel like you had to, it was just society.
People just kept questioning it.
Okay.
And I dated a guy one time, and I came out to him as bisexual, and he was always talking about how it was so sexy. Like, oh, it's hot for girls to be with girls. And then I came out as bi, and he was like, ew. And I was like, I'm gonna just take my ass right back into this closet. But turns out, funny story.
Yeah, right?
Right? Well, here's why he said ill, because homeboy ended up getting a new girlfriend while we were together, and he tried to have a threesome with me and his new girlfriend. And I said, I thought you said it was nasty, and now you're trying to have me. He has a baby with her now, actually. That's really funny.
Jesus. Love and light.
Love and light. I was like, not my problem.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm just drooling with the questions right now.
Do it.
I have thoughts.
No, because do you feel more free, like free as a person, being part of like the community, like just as a free as a person than you were when you were straight trying to fit in into this like societal norm?
Yes, because the label queer allows for flexibility. Like, I can sit here and say I'm only attracted to these type of people, but like sexuality is fluid. Like, I could be 50 and be like, I don't know, I'm kind of attracted to, like, you really don't know. And identifying as queer allows for flexibility in my gender and my sexuality. It just gives me space to feel what I'm feeling, when I feel it, how I feel it. So I identify heavily with that term.
Yeah.
And it's the most free I've ever felt, like, in my entire life, on my terms. Like, I don't need to shame myself for, there's times where I forget that I came out of the closet. Like, I'll be at the gym checking out a girl and I'm like, you fucking weirdo, what the fuck? What? And then I'm like, girl, you gay. That's why you're looking at her butt, because you like her.
Wow.
But it was so ingrained in me that, like, I forgot that I already came out. I already did the hard part.
And it's like, you don't realize how ingrained it is until you have those moments and those conversations with yourself to talk you out of it. It's crazy.
Yeah, but I was like really toxic up until that point. Like, I was just in unhealthy relationships. And what did it for me was cheating on my last partner. I didn't have sex with a girl, but I had made out with a friend, and I was like so fucking drunk. And then I came home and was like, I want to do that again. And he was like, can I be there? And I was like, no. And then I was like, oh shit, I really put myself on blast. So I stopped drinking. I took myself to therapy. And in therapy, I was like, oh my God, I think I'm gay.
And what was that like?
It was horrible.
Like talk about that a little bit. I mean, not to traumatize you again, but like.
No, it was probably the darkest time of my life. I was so depressed, and I wanted to be straight so fucking bad, because it would have made my life easier. It was so hard to tell. It's hard to tell your partner, hey, I'm attracted to other people, and I want to have sex with them, and I don't want you to be there, and X, Y, and Z. So I carried a lot of shame. Also, being a feminine woman, we're raised to view each other as competition. So that's always how I related to women, because I was with men that also enhanced that dynamic. So I didn't know how to relate to femininity. It was like, my pussy was tingling, I'm feeling jealous. Those are two very strong emotions to happen at the same time. And I would cry and go to bed. I didn't watch TV. I didn't leave my house. I wouldn't hang out with my friends. The thought of seeing a woman, like, I wanted to like end everything and just crawl in a hole. And I resisted it for so long. And then I was like, I don't have to do this anymore. Like, I go masturbate in the bathroom to like lesbian porn. Like, I didn't want to have sex with him. Like, there were so many signs that like, girl, you're gay. Like, you're queer. Like, there's something going on here. But I just, and the it's funny too, because I have a like supportive community around me. Like, nobody in my life was shaming me for it at that point. It was just me. I couldn't make sense of wanting to be someone, but also wanting to be with them. I was so confused. So that's when the therapy thing happened, and eventually that relationship ended, and I was forced. I guess you could say forced, because some people still don't fucking do the work when their back is against the wall. I made the choice to actually act and do something, because I was like, girl, like, you could die tomorrow. And
then what? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like life is too short. No, but it's true.
You really could.
So
it
was
really
your
is
turning
true.
point like in therapy? Like when you that was your turning point?
100%. Like when I had cheated, I still didn't even know that I could be gay or queer. Like when it happened, the thought of being queer didn't even occur to me. I was just like, damn, I fucked up. Like, that's all it was. I have to get my life together. And then throughout therapy, I was like, this is a thing.
Yeah.
This is not just like, oh, I had a night. Like, this is something I need to do for myself, not for other people.
Yeah.
So I love my therapist.
Shout out to your therapist. I love my therapist too.
I love Trish.
I want to go back a little bit because I want to talk a little bit about what you said, gender and sexuality. Can you please explain the difference? Because a lot of people don't really know that there's a difference, and I want you to.
So I'm going to explain 3 terms. I'm going to explain biological sex, gender, and sexuality.
Okay.
So biological sex is determined by 3 things: your hormones, your chromosomes, and your genitals. Those things can change for a variety of reasons. Your gender is the ideas and expectations that are assigned to you based on your biological sex.
Okay.
So when you come out of the womb and the doctor goes, hey, that's a vulva, that's a coochie, they say you're a girl. That's your identity and how you operate in the world. People think they're the same thing. If you take anything away from this thing today, they're not the fucking same thing. It's your body and your identity. What's expected of you, how you're supposed to look, how you're supposed to act, how you feel about yourself. And then sexual orientation is who you're attracted to romantically and or sexually. There's also romantic orientation because those are also separate things.
You're going to have to explain that too.
So romantic orientation is how you relate to people emotionally.
Okay.
Sexual orientation is how you relate to people sexually.
Okay.
So I may be romantically monogamous, right? Like I'm the kind of person that can only have romantic intimacy with one person, but I may be sexually open or vice versa. There's people that are like closed sexually or closed romantically, like asexuals. They don't have the same sensations of being turned on, whereas we do.
Yeah.
But it's important to differentiate those things because you have to ask yourself, like, where do I lie in relation? We kind of just group it all together, right? I'm born with a vulva. That means I'm a girl. That means I'm straight. That means I'm monogamous. That means all these things, but that's not true. It doesn't have to be if you don't want it to be. You have choice in that. You can create the relationship you want based on all of those different things and how they operate, you know?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I need to like absorb that because that was good. No one has ever. I was trying to read up it like online and I was not getting, it just was not making, it wasn't clicking.
Yeah. And you broke it down like,
too.
There's so much.
It could be simple.
Keep it simple. Yeah. And that's what I love about your videos. If you guys follow her videos are very clear and to the point and you explain things very well.
Absolutely.
Which is why I wanted you on here.
It's a teacher in me.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of that, I want you to talk a little bit. So you were a middle school sex educator. So you obviously, I don't know, could you be as open when you were teaching them things about? Like,
I was.
Yeah?
Which is part of the reason why I left.
Okay.
I was open with them. You know, like I also had to, because I taught 5th grade through 8th grade. So I had to discern the questions that were harmful to not be answered. And what were some questions that like we don't really need to answer right now? You know, like my 8th grader asking me, you know, is it okay to beat up a trans person if they don't tell me that they're trans and we go out? That's a question we need to talk about. Whereas in 5th grade, I don't need to talk to you necessarily right now about like how babies are made.
Right.
We could talk about puberty. We could talk about how your body's changing. But that's a conversation that can possibly wait. But I was very open. And if you want to talk, like if my students wanted to talk about my beliefs, let's talk about it. Because you're going to meet other people that have different beliefs. This is practice for the outside world out there. So I wanted to create an environment where it's also like they have access to so much.
Yeah, they do.
You know, like they're walking
way
around
more than
with
we
handheld
did.
computers.
Yeah.
I know you know shit. You know more than I do in some ways. I need to be a safe space for you to be honest. So you're not walking around with harmful information.
Right.
Because that's the real life consequence of not having these conversations. Because I know they're not talking to their parents about it.
Right.
They're talking to their friends. And I could have been the one person that they felt comfortable asking that question to. And I'm just like, okay, at least they got it from somewhere.
Yeah.
From me, you know, from the source, a good source. Because they're trying to find it on their own. And they don't have the skills to discern what's valid, what's not.
Yeah.
Especially like with us, like I know my parents, they don't know like half the things that you're talking about, it's like out of their scope.
Yeah.
And I know even like the conversations I had with my parents about sex, specifically my mom, it was like, if you have sex, you're going to get pregnant. Men only use you for sex. They don't love you. Like sex is something you do after marriage. Use a condom. But like, that's about it. There was none of this like trans or queer or any of these types of conversations. Did you ever have parents approach you about anything?
So I grew up with my mom. My parents were divorced, I had mentioned. My parents were very open with me. My dad was a little bit more protective, like just being a dad, you know? But my mother would have very open, honest conversations with me. I didn't feel like I couldn't ask her about something or talk to her about things.
Yeah.
The only time when I didn't feel that was because she was just working a lot and absent. But if I had a question about sex or relationships, like my mom knew, you know, and that, I don't want to say like it set me up for failure because it didn't. It really helped me, actually. And I think if I just had a little bit more from her, I would have been able to navigate it in a better way. Or if I just had a better sex ed teacher, just somebody, anybody to help filter and apply it.
Because I feel like the main thing back then was just use condoms, get tested.
Literally, that was all we talked about.
That's it.
And I was in like unhealthy relationships in high school.
Yeah.
And people knew, they'd make jokes, but like no one was helping me get out of it.
No.
But my mom calls me a hoe. I call her a hoe. On my birthday cake every year.
I saw that on your story. You called her a hoe. And I was like, oh, shit.
On my birthday cake every year, it says happy birthday to my number one hooker. Like we have like a sister type relationship.
Yeah,
but her and I, we talk about shit now. Like, you know, she had a nickname. Sorry, Mom. Phenomenal Fellatio. I was like, good for you, girl.
Stop. That's hilarious.
Yeah, but it's nice to have that.
Yo,
Phenomenal Fellatio is
I
hilarious.
can't have that nickname. I'm like, nah.
She is a happy, healthy hoe.
You know what? That's a good point because you're a guy. Obviously, you don't want to think of your mom in that way. I feel like women, we're like a little more open to that.
Virgin Mary to my eyes, bro. I can't even.
I wanted to go back a little bit just because it's really interesting because I have 2 boys. Everyone knows, a 4 and a 2-year-old. And it's very interesting. And I try to have these conversations with my partner about things to speak about with them and when to speak about it with them, because they do recognize at a very young age. So I'm glad you were open about that. At 7 years old, you felt feelings towards opposite sex. So, or towards the same sex rather. So I do feel like my kids already, especially my 4-year-old, already is having like these feelings towards the opposite sex. Like he'll tell me, like he'll walk up to me and he'll be like, oh, mommy, I want to go play with her. Do you think we can invite her over? Yeah. I want to ask her name or something like that. Or
he's
even just,
interest. He may not make sense of it now.
Right.
So it's very like challenging, like knowing when, obviously he's 4. Right. We're not ready for big combos, but I'm just saying, like, when he has those combos, I'm like, oh my goodness, like he's already identifying and like speaking his truth at such a young age. And I'm just like, this is amazing. And like, I tell like my partner all the time, you know, and I don't want to get into these big discussions right now. We don't have to, no pressure. But you know, when people don't believe that at a very young age, you can identify yourself as like, you know, lesbian or be born a certain way, like now seeing like my kids at such a young age that they already like are telling me that they have feelings towards, you know, a girl, it's just crazy. Like to me, like, you know, like being a parent, seeing that process is just amazing. But
I think we need to believe kids when they tell us who they are. And I think I'm doing a workshop called Parenting the Parent and Sexuality Education.
Love that.
Because
I would love to go.
Which sounds like,
when is that?
Why are you parenting a parent? It's for a conference called SLAM, Sexuality Liberators and Movers. And it's about changing this power dynamic between parents, children, and educators. And I mean, I don't have kids. You have kids, but I feel like especially older generations, it comes from like, I'm a parent, so I'm more deserving of respect. There's like this underlying belief that if you treat me like a child, it's an insult. Why?
Yeah.
Because it comes from a belief that children are inherently less deserving of respect.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. But imagine what the world would look like if we empowered our kids to believe in who they tell us that they are. And not everything. Like, you're not going to tell me you're fucking Boo Boo the Clown and I'm going to be like, yeah, baby. You pick and choose, you know?
Yeah.
But we would have kids that believe in themselves, that are confident, that are self-sufficient, that are not dependent in unhealthy ways. And I would hope that that's what we all want for our future.
Absolutely.
You know, like, but people just don't know. They didn't receive it.
I think it's just super challenging. Like, you know, when your son or daughter like approach you with an idea and you can't picture it yourself, you know, sexual orientation or not, when you can't envision that and you've been envisioning your son or your child like a certain way and they come left, you know, it's almost like breaking your heart, or almost like you just, since you can't see it, it's very hard, you know? But yeah,
but that's because we picture what our kids' lives should look like.
Yeah, like they're going to get married to the opposite sex. They're going to have kids. They're going to have the house. And it's like, they may not want that.
That's our idea that we're imposing on them.
Exactly.
And I mean, again, like I don't have kids and I think a lot about when I will have kids, but I like prepare myself for that, I guess, for like the reality of it. Like in some way, shape or form, I'm going to deal with those feelings. When I name my child and maybe they want to change their name. I'm sitting here like, I'm going to change my name. But when my kid comes to me, am I going to be like, okay, there's going to be some level and that's okay. But it's like, because
it's very easy to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be cool. I'm gonna be open minded. Like we're gonna be free, open, communicating. Are you ready?
Do you really want to be cool, open minded? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh man.
And there's a lot, because even you, when you had the moment of like looking at the girl at the gym and you were like, why are you looking at her? And it's like, duh, it's because I'm gay. That's why I'm looking at her. Like you even had to have that, like check yourself. And that was you, yourself checking yourself. Now you have this completely different person who is still yours, but essentially they're their own person coming to you. You're going to have to check yourself on some things, no matter how open you are. So that's,
I'm happy to hear that you're thinking about that though. Because part of the reason why I started relationship coaching was because I was teaching kids things, but they're going back home to the same environments where their parents don't have these skills. Their parents are navigating unhealthy relationships and low self-esteem and housing insecurity, financial insecurity, food insecurity. So how the fuck am I going to expect you, a 9-year-old, to take this lesson about emotional regulation and then go back home to a parent who doesn't know how to emotionally regulate? And that you trust them more than you trust me. That's your parent. So I said, I'm going straight for the fucking source, baby. I'm going for the people that may have kids one day or may not. It doesn't matter. But you got to set that foundation now.
I would love to go to that workshop. Do you have further information?
Right, you need to. No, you need to.
We will put it on our page too.
Like, there's not. I mean, we're going totally left.
No, it's fine. I don't care. We're flowing.
Right.
We're flowing. It's good.
There definitely is not, and you would think there is, but there's definitely not enough support out there for parents.
No, there isn't.
No, parents,
like you're supposed to be ready.
Communities. Right. It just is what it is.
You're supposed to be ready. You ask a family member, and you're supposed to figure it out on yourself. Like, and I've read like multiple books on parenting, but even then it's just.
And even I just think back, like a lot of, especially in my family, a lot of it is like, oh, you just need to go to church. You just need to pray to God. And like, because right now that's the devil, and it's just like,
no,
it's just like
and like people really put a lot of pressure on the moms too, especially because we're supposed to have this innate like feeling and this, and I don't get me wrong, I do get that feeling, that like a motherly instinct of what to do, how to go about it, but having like more guidance, you know, it would be like. We need more of that. Yeah.
Parents need love too. I feel like they get forgotten. And like we also put a lot of shit on them, like calling them da-da-da. And I'm like, how do you need help? Like, how can I help you manage your finances, manage your emotions, manage your relationships? Yeah. Because you can't do this alone. And most of them don't have the time, the money, the resources, the information to get them help, like get the help themselves. So how am I going to expect you to raise somebody who can do that for themselves? That's going to be hard.
Yeah.
You could do it, but how? It's going to be hard.
Yeah. So do you feel like your way of doing it now, I guess, making some type of a change or a difference is like the workshops, right? Is there anything else you do? Or is like right now that's like the stepping stone?
It's a lot of the workshops. It's a lot of my one-on-one coaching. I feel like with my clients, like I had 2 clients today, and I feel like that's where like I really get to shine in a sense. Like people that get to work with me really get to see what I bring to the table and really see changes in their day-to-day life. Like I had a moment today where I was talking to my client. I was like, oh my gosh, she's listening to me. She remembered that I said that. She's actually doing her homework.
Of course. Shit. I be with my therapist, I'm writing notes. Yeah. I'm like, say that again. What's that term? I'm going to look it up later. No, we have to take it seriously.
Yeah. But workshops as well, because accessibility. Like, I want people to have access to this information. And like, granted, I'll be able to like charge a nice pretty penny, but I want to do that with the goal of like whatever profit I make from this big ass conference, I can take money towards giving somebody free services. Right. You know, like how can you help the people that don't have access or can't afford it? Right. You know, like it just feels wrong. It doesn't feel right. And my workshops,
like it can't always be about the money.
No.
Because you're not really helping it. You're only helping yourself at that point.
And
it's true.
I'm like, I don't know. I also feel like I'm not really going to make a lot of money if I'm not doing something that feels good for me. Like, it's going to be fake and people are going to see right through that shit and it's not worth it.
And then it ends.
But the workshops are fun. They're educational. They're hands-on, informative, interactive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to do lecture style. I like to like get people talking and moving. Like that's the coach in me. Like,
love that.
You learn something great. Now let's do it right now.
Love that. Mm-hmm. What are some other themes of like workshops? Because I know that you also focus on like, you said making kink less scary and also like boundaries. Are you going to be doing like workshops about those things or have you done them already?
Girl. So I actually have a workbook called Make Boundaries Your Bitch. I give that up to a lot of my clients. That's a lot of what we do. But I do have a workshop coming up for that. I have a workshop coming up like next weekend or so. So it's this lesbian queer organization teaming up with another lesbian queer organization. And we're doing a showing of erotic short films, lesbian short films. I'm going to do a heat play workshop. So accessible, do's and don'ts of heat play, how to master your massage candle. I also do workshops regarding, so I mentioned the boundaries, I mentioned the parenting, I mentioned the heat play. There's a temperature play one that's like all encompassing, hot and cold.
Okay.
And then I like kind of break down like the lessons that I have in my coaching plan for workshops as well. So like reparenting yourself, reframing your thinking, creating a self-pleasure practice. But it looks like anything. I'm kind of just figuring out like where I want to plant my feet in regards to sexuality education because it's so broad.
Yes. Yeah.
But
I feel like you're on the right track.
Yeah, everybody.
No, it sounds like you are like doing the damn thing for real.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to ask like, I want to talk more a little bit about boundaries. So I want to know like why exactly that's something that you feel like you want to touch on. And then like, how do you go about teaching people how to honor their boundaries?
Right. So I had no boundaries growing up. I remember my mom told me one time, like, you need to have thick skin. And like my dumb ass, like I thought that was something that I would grow throughout puberty. Like I thought like 13 and I would have thick skin and I didn't realize that was something, a behavior, a personality trait, a healing process. So I had no boundaries. I was a serial monogamist. I would stay in relationships for way too fucking long. And I would let people treat me like shit. So when I left my last relationship and I was going through therapy, that's when I came up with the guide to being a happy, healthy hoe. And it was all about figuring out what you want, why you want it, how you want it, and actually getting it. So a lot of what I do in my process of teaching people their boundaries in regards to relationships or friendships, whatever, what kind of dynamic do you want? You want a fuck buddy? You want a friend? Do you want a long-term relationship? Do you want a poly relationship? What are you looking for? And some people be like, oh, I don't know. I'm going with the flow. And I'm like, yeah, that's not good enough. You need some type of direction to guide your morals and your values. You know, like if you're going with the flow, the current's going to take you anywhere if you don't know where you're going.
And then how can you set boundaries? Yeah.
A lot of what happens is people get into situations and then someone crosses a boundary and then you're already involved. And we have this thing with time where I put in so much time and effort. I don't want to leave. I want to understand. You can understand why someone did something and not excuse it.
Absolutely.
So a lot of what I teach people is like, what are your boundaries? There's soft boundaries. There's hard boundaries. There's unspoken boundaries. What are they? They can change. That's fine. But prior to entering anything, or if you're already in it, figure out what it is. Yeah. And then how do you ask for it? Because we talk a lot about boundaries, but what happens when someone crosses them? I'm the kind of person where like, well, what the fuck do I say? I know I have a boundary, but like, what do I say?
Yeah.
What do I say?
Yeah. And not only what do you say, but how do you say it?
Yeah.
So like, can you
the
give
delivery be everything?
Can you give an example, like a clear-cut example of like, what would be something that would cross someone's boundaries, let's just say, and then how could we go about saying it? Because I feel like in a respectful way, but in a way that is still firm.
This is something I practice. Because I'm aggressive. I'm like assertive, but aggressive leaning. Because for most of my life, I was really passive. So I think I'm just like so tired of being passive where like my voice can sound really strong and I talk a lot with my hands, but I am heavy on I feel statements. So when you approach people, I don't know, let's say like, we made plans for something and you double booked and you didn't communicate with me. Like, hey, listen, what's the emotion I would feel? I felt like you kind of, put me in second place when you had double booked our plans because it made me feel like you weren't prioritizing our time together. In the future, I'd really like it if you would just make a better effort to communicate with me when you double book. So you want to say what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, when you're feeling it, to connect it deeply to what the person's doing and what you need from them. And I know when we're triggered, that can feel like a lot. Like when you're pissed off, it's like,
I'm just ready to curse you out.
Like, I feel but it's practice.
Yeah.
You practice with your softer boundaries, the lighter boundaries, and you build your muscle memory. So when someone really fucking crosses a boundary, you get to decide where it goes. That conversation also could have been, in the future, if this happens again, I'm going to have to rethink our friendship or we're going to need space.
Yeah.
But if you don't know what it is before you get there, how are you going to plan?
Yeah.
You're not. You're going to understand and you're going to excuse.
Yes.
And you don't always have to. Like boundaries are really in right now. It's like a hot topic.
Yes.
And I have like a one strike you're out rule. Like if you cross an unspoken boundary, I'm done.
What's an unspoken boundary for you?
It's something like me personally.
Yeah, for you personally.
I want to say cheating, honestly, in my romantic relationships. And probably in regards to my friendships, like lying or talking shit about me. Like if you're my friend and I need to talk to you about talking shit about me, I'm not talking to you. There's no conversation to be had. Right. We're not friends. With the relationship I have, there's so many things that happen before people cheat. And granted, I've cheated so I can recognize that in myself. And I've also been cheated on. Right. But where I'm at now, we're not going down that road. You better be my friend first and tell me what the fuck is going on before you do whatever the fuck you're doing. That's an unspoken boundary. Yeah. Because I'm past that point. So it's important to think about like, what are things that I'm not going to tolerate but won't end a relationship? And what are the things that will end the relationship? Like, I shouldn't even need to talk to you about this. Why am I talking to you about this? Some shit is like, but everybody has different things. Some people are genuinely okay with cheating. I'm not hating on them. Like, that's fine. Know that from the get and talk about it. Right. Before you get too unraveled and then you just fucking lose your mind. And now you're like looking back like, how the fuck did I get here? What the fuck have I been doing this whole time? It doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah. I think what you said was funny about like your mom saying just have tougher skin, because I feel like, I mean, I don't know how to say it properly, but I feel like that's something that I felt like growing up, just tolerating everything made you tough. Like if you complain, you pussy, you weak, why are you being so sensitive or emotional? And then it's like, I've noticed in my adulthood and like and being in therapy and having boundaries now, people, oh, you see, like I can't play with you. I can't talk to you about anything. And it's like before it would have affected me to a point where I'm like, oh my God, maybe there's something wrong with me. But now it's like, no, there's something wrong with you because I'm asking for basic bare minimum qualities. You can't have respect.
No, you can't play
with me.
You
can't communicate like an adult. You can't have empathy, emotional intelligence, self-awareness. Like those are basic. I'm not asking you to move mountains. It's like basic shit. And so I feel like, what are some challenges that you face? Like other than people getting upset, like is there any other challenges that people can face when they try to set boundaries?
That was an answer.
No, go ahead. We'll see like your experience.
No, I just feel like one of the challenges is if that person can't relate to your boundary, if they don't have that boundary. Everyone has different boundaries. If they tolerate those things and those things don't bother them, it's very hard to get someone to understand. Like, of course, I'm not talking about the respect thing.
Of course.
But just like maybe just a delivery, right? Some people are very okay and are very receptive to recognizing when someone is upset, knowing not to take it personally, right? Knowing that they're coming from a place of hurt, of pain, and not taking maybe some of the things they said too personally. Me? Like you're gonna have to calm down. Sometimes I just walk away and I can recognize it, but not taking it personally is very hard for me. So sometimes I'm just like, let's take a few minutes. Because you're about to say a whole lot that is going to take me a while to forget. So let's take it a few minutes. So I feel like sometimes I have faced that with my partner because we could both get real, but I've had to like set that boundary for him. Like, listen, we can't get all rah-rah because he could get rah-rah and he doesn't take stuff too personally. Like I could say stuff and he's like, no, babe, I know you were upset. You could say that.
Give
you
up,
can
yeah.
let it out. You can let it
Yeah.
off. Like afterwards, though. Afterwards, not in the moment, but afterwards, be like, nah, babe. Like I know that you was upset. I understand that I hurt you or that you felt disrespected. Get it out your system. You want to scream? Go ahead.
Where you're like,
But I'm like, right. Then I'm like, no, you can't do that to me. Like, no. So I feel like, again, going back, if the person doesn't communicate, doesn't face emotion the same as you, it's very hard for me to explain to him why, like, he cannot do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it can just be as simple as like, I don't rock that way, and I'm just letting you know I don't.
Yeah.
So if that's a hard boundary for you, where like we're gonna have to have a conversation, but it's not gonna end the relationship, you get to determine where that line is.
Exactly.
But like to your point, like when you have boundaries that kind of conflict, you have to ask hard questions. Are these things that you're willing to live with? Do you think it's this person's personality, or is it just a bad trait?
Correct. Exactly.
Because a lot of times our partners do things and we can take it as a personality thing. That's just who they are. Versus maybe there's some room for improvement, a bad habit you can change. But it's up to the communicating to decide where that goes.
Exactly.
And not everybody likes the answers that they get.
And not everyone's open to the communication of it either, you know? Like, not everybody wants to talk about that.
Good luck getting men to get on the same level as communicating and understanding their emotional.
Yes.
There's so much
difficult.
potential. You guys can.
So
We just need to
difficult.
give you the tools. Because
a lot of men, and I
Right.
just like feel... I don't want to come at you at all, but I remember one time...
But-
No.
Okay.
I don't want to come at him, but I remember one time we were talking about boundaries, the three of us, and he was kind of like, I would be the type of person to be like, yo, fuck your boundaries. Like, I'm not going to honor that shit. Like, if anything, I want to push the limit more, but just because you're telling me not to do this or not to say this, not trying to make you a dick right now.
No, that's common though.
That's
a fact. That's how
common.
men operate a lot
And
of
it's
that.
just like with someone like that, I mean, obviously just remove yourself. But like it can be, again, like you said, hard. Like you end up making excuses or you forgive or you're already in it. You've invested time and energy. So it's like hard. But it's like what I was telling him, and maybe you could reiterate, is like boundaries are never for the other person. They're always for you. So it is personal. Like we can take it personal, but it's for us to take it personal. Like it's a personal
nothing to do
thing.
with other people do.
Nothing to do with other people.
It's about how you respond and what you allow. And a lot of like, because boundaries is like so in right now, it's like a fad. A lot of it's like, I'm not going to let you treat me like you don't got to meet disrespect with disrespect or vice versa, whatever it is. It's all about you and how you're going to receive or not receive what people are showing you about themselves.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Really quickly, I want to talk about your candle making because we didn't get to really talk about like how you went from like
got crazy.
You went from working in a school to now to quitting that, and then now you're doing your, you know, you have your therapy sessions with your clients, and now candle making. So what like led to the transition, and then how's the candle making?
It was really random, honestly. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia.
I saw that you posted that too.
So I
really quickly, can you just define what that is for people who don't know?
So fibromyalgia is like PTSD for the body, pretty much your nervous system. So your pain receptors are so used to firing that they go off even when there's not something that's inflicting direct pain.
Got it.
So, you know, like when you have the flu and your body just hurts, it's like that all the time. But I was struggling with my health. Like I was passing out at work. It was really bad. So I took a leave of absence to figure out my health. And in those 3 months, I was like, I can't go back to this job. I can't go back to this job. So there was a random event that came up and they were like, vendors needed. And I was like, fuck it, let me just apply and see what happens. And all the things I was offering, they already had. So the girl had asked me, do you have a product? And I'm sitting here like, yeah, I got a product. Did not have a product. I had no clue. And all of a sudden I was like, what about a massage candle? Like it just
came to
me.
That was,
and I made them. It went great. And now I'm just making candles. Like I just wasn't planning on being a candle maker. Yeah. I don't want to be a full-time candle maker, but
like I've never heard, I mean, it could just be my ignorance, but I've never heard of a massage candle.
No, me either.
Before you. Yeah.
Before you. That's why it's like a message candle. That's why I thought it was message candle.
Like with affirmations.
She's making affirmations, really empowering.
Right.
No, it's a massage candle.
Yeah,
like.
I've seen them. I've used them. That's so funny.
I I've never heard of a massage candle. Yeah, because you see like on music videos, people pouring the wax of the candle. So I'm like, she's gonna be out here burning people. Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had seen and experienced them beforehand.
Yeah, and I had an allergic reaction.
Oh,
and I was like, this shit, I'm like, what the fuck? I have really sensitive skin. So I was like, why don't I make something that is body safe? That if I don't get a rash, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Because I have really sensitive skin.
So like, what are the ingredients in it?
So there's a very low percentage of soy wax.
Okay.
There's mango shea butter, jojoba oil, vitamin E oil, avocado oil. And then there's essential oils that I use for the fragrance. Yeah,
the scent.
Okay. And you said that you can use it as your own lotion too. Like you use it as your lotion.
I use it every day.
Okay.
Before I get in the shower, I light my candle. I get out and then like it forces me to like show my body love.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also nice because like, when you put on lotion and you kind of have to like sit there naked for a little bit while you dry.
Yeah. Because it's like sticky and
with the oil. It kind of just like starts to absorb. You don't have a film, but I love it. And I had to teach myself to like embrace my own product, like not just sell it for other people, like really make a connection with my own product.
Yeah.
I came up with the scents. I made my own fucking labels. Like I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
You're doing great.
Thank you. I'm trying.
She had the nice little business card with the little spoon.
And right away, she was like this. Let me try it. She was like, I was like, oh.
I was like, give me your hand.
No, she was ready.
I
loved how ready she was. It was awesome. And you use the candles as part of a way to like show, like, I guess, kink in a way.
Mm-hmm. It's a form of heat play.
Right. Is there any other type of things just to ease people into kink other than like massage candles that people can do to kind of like, want to just spice things up a little bit?
Light, like spanking, like sensory play. It also doesn't have to be spanking. Like you could use feathers. You could use a cold spoon. You can use drinks. Like there's a lot of tools you can use to kind of explore that side of yourself that doesn't have to be pain or extreme, or bruises and like burning. No, you want to play with blindfolds, role play, dirty talk. All of those things can lean into kink depending on where you want to take it. So I was like,
Yeah. Anything could be a kink. And then with the so you say you don't want it to be a full-time thing.
I don't know where it's gonna take me, to be honest.
I feel like
I'm making a Pride Edition candle, so I'm gonna be rolling. Like I'm gonna get rid of some scents. I'm gonna keep the ones that are really doing well, like the amber. That's like my
and the
signature
cake one, the one that I bought.
That's the amber,
that's the one that's so good,
and sexy.
It smells really good.
But for June, July, August, I'm doing a Pride Edition.
Okay.
So I want to do like small batch releases, but also this is part of how I'm making my money right now. So like, I'm gonna keep making these fucking candles until I'm coaching.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Bitches love candles.
They do.
I love
candles too.
Yes, they do.
I learned that at your event. I said, wow.
Yeah.
Because they like them for the women.
Yeah, exactly.
Use them for the women.
Like, you got a girl? They're like, no. I'm like, you want one?
Yeah, exactly.
You pull out this shit on the first day.
They'll be like,
she'll be
get
like,
out of here.
Oh, shit.
Exactly.
No, yeah.
That's why the first thing I did, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be right back.
Yeah,
then I grabbed Kike. I said, Kike, which scent you like?
No, it's a vibe.
Like, okay.
It's a vibe.
Candles are like easy. Just light that shit. Just let it go.
Yeah.
And then the fact that you can use it.
And
now
then
this
it's
is a
like-
candle you can use to like start things, kick things off. Awesome.
And then I love how like she explained to us that like in kink, because she was explaining to us how to use it, that like the closer you are, the hotter it is. So if you pour it, like if this is your hand and you pour it here, it's gonna be hot. But if you pour it here, it'll be warmer. If you pour it here, then it'll be cool.
Yep.
So you can like,
play around with it.
yeah. So I love the
You gotta
education
have
on
options.
it.
Yeah.
Options.
I said, you want to pour it into the hand? Fine. You want to use a spoon? Don't matter. Sometimes when I'm in a rush, I don't even melt that shit. I just like scoop my hand in the thing and I'm just like slapping it on my body because it melts. It melts down with your body temperature. But I like my spouse and I use them for date night all the time. We'll take baths. We have like a spa date night and we call it like club tub.
I
we
love
put
that.
on music and lights in the
love
bathroom.
that.
So cute.
And we play with the massage candle in the tub because again, you don't have that film. You use like body scrubs?
Yes.
And the fucking bottom of the tub is like
it's like slippery. You're about to bust your ass the next time you get in.
Oh my
yes.
God. I was like, this is a hazard.
I stopped using mine because of that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Damn, I never even used those shits.
Yeah, I had a body scrub. Yeah, well, you're.
That's, yeah. caveman over here.
You deserve body care, self-care.
Yes,
too.
of course. Dakota, is there anything that you want to touch on that we didn't discuss?
So you said you're making candles for Pride.
You're making candles for Pride.
Yes.
Wait, so 2 years ago,
Mhm.
I actually went to fucking Pride.
Oh.
Okay.
I was with my homegirl. She was like, because her sister is a lesbian, and her and her wife lived down by Union Square. And I was like, fuck it, let's go. Have a good time. Yo, it was one of the best fucking summer days.
It looks fun. I've never been.
It was so much fucking fun.
Y'all should go to Pride.
Like, yo, it was dope. It was just a great time. There's this gas station down in that area where it was just like a DJ was there. A whole gas station was just turned up.
I was at a gas station with the DJ. You said that was 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
She was probably
I'll show you
there.
pictures.
Stop.
Can you please? Because I passed by that gas station the other day by like the Village or something.
Yeah.
And I was,
Yo, that shit
we might have been at the same gas
That
station.
at the same
was
event.
fucking heard up. Like, it was just people, and no one, what I can say is that everyone down there was just about having fun.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like, no one was too cool. No one was so uptight. It was just fucking, just like free, having a good fucking
Having a
time.
good time.
You know what
Pride
I'm
is a
saying?
great experience.
Yeah.
That shit was dope.
Like,
That's
I'm
amazing.
ready.
You're
I
ready.
mean, it's Pride Month every month, but like, I'm ready.
Yeah, June is the month.
It is.
All right. How are we feeling? Are we feeling good?
We're feeling. I'm
Okay,
feeling
did you have a good time with us?
I feel like I could stay here and talk to you guys all day.
No, you definitely have to come back.
I
You
know.
definitely have to come
You
back.
have to.
Are you allergic to cats?
No.
Okay, we're gonna give you some Benadryl. Not drowsy because I ain't trying to put you to sleep. But y'all should come over.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll make dinner for you. My spouse is a chef as well, gardener, educator.
You had us at dinner.
love that.
We will be there.
We'll be out on the little patio.
You had us at
You
food,
had us at
girl.
dinner.
You had us at
Let us know
food.
the date and we will be
We'll do an
there.
aphrodisiac themed dinner.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Oh my God, I'm excited.
Cocktails, drinks, good vibes.
Dakota, thank you so
Girls'
much for
night.
coming.
Thank you. This was so nice.
This was amazing. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Invited for some damn food.
You not going.
Yeah.
You're not invited.
Never mind. Push it through.
I'm kidding. All right. Bye, guys. See you next week. Bye.